from the cloudy Copenhagen, and welcome to the training session Energy Efficiency eTraining to Mozambique, hosted by Copenhagen Center on Energy Efficiency. My name is Begonia, and I'm working as a research assistant at the Copenhagen Center, and I will be the moderator for today's training session. A couple of things before we move to the main content of our training. This training is going to be about 90 minutes long, including time for Q&A at the end. In case you cannot stay until the end or want to get back to our presentations, all the materials and recording of the whole training will be available online in a few days on the Copenhagen Center's knowledge management system. And we have many other training and webinars there. Have a look. I will give you more information in a few minutes. Before we start discussing about today's training session, I would like to inform our attendees that we comply with the General Data Protection Act, also known as GDPR. This means that your data, such as name, email, workplace, is safely processed and stored, and all of your rights pursuant to the GDPR are respected. You have full access to the data being processed about you, and at any time you can request that inaccurate data be deleted or rectified. For access or further information, please contact with the people that are presented here. A few things about the Copenhagen Center. The Center conducts research and advisory activities in the field of energy efficiency and serves as energy efficiency hub for the Sustainable Energy for All initiative. The Center has an established network of global, regional, and national partners with a broad range of stakeholders to help accelerate the implementation of energy efficiency activities. Now, I would like to briefly introduce you to the speakers of today's training session. Raju is a senior expert on energy efficiency, and at UNEP DTU Partnership, his work is focused on the analysis of policy issues. He also conducts qualitative and quantitative studies, providing technical advice and other direct support associated with energy efficiency in countries and cities. On the other hand, Xianli works as a senior economist, and her work at UNEP DTU focuses on designing and enabling policies and programs for energy efficiency improvement and climate change mitigation. Finally, I would like to inform that you can send us your questions during the presentations, and we will do our best to answer as many as we can at the end. But before starting with the first presentation of today's training session, I would like to introduce a poll in order to have a better overview on the topic related to energy efficiency. So as you can see, the first question is as follows. Are you aware of the term energy efficiency? I will really encourage all of you to participate in this poll so we can have as much insight as possible. I will give just a couple of more seconds and then I will show the results. So we have received a 100% yes to this question. Thank you so much for your contribution. Second question, do you work in energy efficiency related activities? And you have three options, yes, no, or maybe. Okay, here we have received a 64% responses as yes, 21 as no, and a 40% of maybe. Thank you so much again. And finally, our last question of this poll, energy efficiency and renewable energy according to you are either same or different. Okay, here we have received a 67% responses as same and 33% responses as different. Thank you so much for your contribution. And now I would like to give the floor to our first panelist of today's training session, Rahul. Rahul, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Begonia. Good morning, everyone. I am Rahul Raju Dusa. Welcome back to the Energy Efficiency Training Program. The training program started yesterday with Jorge stating with objectives and expected outcomes of this program. He also gave a brief introduction to the program and the agenda. And then we had Fabio, who introduced EDM and welcomed the participants. He also mentioned about the serious commitments towards energy efficiency and renewable energy. We had Gabriela talk about the objectives and different activities at UNEP DTU Partnership, Copenhagen Center on Energy Efficiency. We also saw the role of energy efficiency in the global context and also the energy context of Mozambique. Today, we will begin with Module 1, where we will learn about energy efficiency, its main features, benefits, opportunities. In addition, we will also look into some of the important aspects of energy efficiency with energy access, integration, and also energy efficiency integration with renewable energy. Later, my colleague Xianli will present on the energy efficiency policies and measures. So today I will be delivering my first presentation on what is energy efficiency. There are other upcoming sessions which I will be presenting on the mentioned dates. Most of the energy efficiency information and your queries should be addressed during these sessions. I hope you may also plan your questions in line with the topics here. Since this is a training program, the intention here is by the end of the session, everyone gets to take along with them some useful knowledge to support their future endeavors in the field of energy efficiency. I understand there are participants from different professional backgrounds, so the content is designed not too simple, not too complex. In any in any case, please do write to me for specific queries, feedback, which should help me in tailoring my upcoming presentations for your needs. So yes, what is energy efficiency? Pretty much clear from the poll that everyone is aware of what energy efficiency means. But let me get a bit a notch down and then talk about what exactly efficiency means. It is a state or quality of being efficient. In a much simpler way, it is about the ability to make something with the fewest resources possible. Resources like time, money, raw materials, and in fact, your personal energy is required to achieve a level of output. These resources are quite limited, and everyone at every level constantly seek ways to be more efficient. For example, a company would train their salesmen or deliver better product presentations to make sure that they have a better market presentation. Industrial plants may increase their product output by upgrading their technology and other process operations. So there are several representations on defining the term energy efficiency. However, all refer to the same meaning. I am presenting here a broad definition used by the European Union Energy Efficiency Directive. It says energy efficiency means the ratio of output of performance, service, goods, or energy to input of energy. And it is usually represented in percentage values, 0% to 100%. Understand this better, consider a system. This system is something you define. You can consider your system to be a component such as an electric motor. It can be a boiler, it can be an entire building or a manufacturing industrial plant. There is input and then there is output. Usually entire energy input is not completely utilized and there are losses that are bound to happen due to various reasons. We often talk about improving energy efficiency. So looking at the simple mathematical equation and the representation of a diagram here, we can easily infer how energy efficiency can be improved. Option 1, you may adopt certain advanced technologies which consumes less energy input for the same output that you are producing. Mostly something related to energy labeling standards that are based on this, wherein you find a higher rating for a given output. Let's say for air conditioning units, for a given cooling load output that it delivers, you have different energy labeling ratings because of different energy consumption patterns. Option 2, you may adopt some operational changes to enhance your output production for the same input energy consumption. And then, of course, the most sorted out option is option 3, where we target at the first instance, minimize the losses in order to improve our efficiencies. Let's take an example of an electric motor. The input is electrical energy and the output is mechanical energy used for various applications. You must have seen on the design nameplates of motor containing motor's design efficiency. For example, here a 5.5 kilowatt motor indicates an efficiency at full load of about 85.7%. That means for every 100 units of electrical energy that I use as an input, it gives me around 85.7 units of energy as a mechanical output. And of course, the remaining 14.3 units are generally lost in terms of losses, various losses. Let's take another example of a boiler. The input is heat energy. It can be from coal, diesel, or gas. The output is also heat energy, which can be steam, hot water, later used for different applications. If you have come across any design details on performance reports mentioning that the boiler efficiency is say 90%, that means for every 100 kilocalories or every 100 units of energy that you use as an input, you get about 90 units of energy as an output, and the remaining 10 units that are usually losses in different forms. This may vary. This can be something similar applicable for pumps, compressors, furnaces, and other systems also, the same approach. Now, you have noticed here the units, generally they are the same units for often for several other scenarios. The representation of energy efficiency may not always be unitless value, showing only in percentage. We will see some differences in the next slide. So if you see here, many suppliers, vendors would be presenting the performance of, let's say, air compressors in CFM per kilowatt or meter cube per kilowatt. The units are not same, and they are not usually, this is not a percentage value. You must be already aware of the terms COP, that is a coefficient of performance, or energy efficiency ratio, often found on the nameplates of most of your residential or office air conditioning units. Then again, for large chiller systems, it is often represented in kilowatt per TR. I would like to get your attention here. I highlighted this ratio in blue color. This is actually representing as input divided by output, unlike the earlier definition what we have mentioned as an efficiency as output divided by input. It is basically an inverse of efficiency due to ease of representations, especially for actual values of the ratio. The units are at times represented in this format. You may at times find performance representations as inverse of efficiency. Hope you are all still with me. Hope this is not confusing. I will show you more examples. Next slide. As I mentioned in the last slide, for many manufacturing processes and other energy dependent activities also, comparing input and output in the same units to derive a dimensionless number is not a practical approach. If you remember from the initial slides, the output of energy output can be something called energy, even goods, products, services for reference. Please note that the ones that are presented here are actually inverse of efficiencies. For a practical approach, generally for the standards what we generally use in day-to-day presentations. Such indicators are often called as specific energy consumptions and are widely used to compare energy efficiency across plants, across buildings, and even transport vehicles. On a national level, the term energy efficiency is not often used. We use what we call it as the energy intensity. I think yesterday my colleague Gabriela also touched upon this part. So moving on to why do we need energy efficiency? I'll be quick and brief here. The graph shows a correlation between per capita energy consumption versus per capita GDP. The size of the bubbles obviously denotes the total population of that country. If we look closely, most of the developed countries have higher energy intensity, and most of the developing and underdeveloped countries, least developed countries, are populated somewhere near the low energy intensity values. The developing, yes, so in a sense, benefits are mostly reaped as we increase our energy use. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, in this process of increasing our energy consumption, energy use for the sake of development and all, we tend to forget about negative impacts of this increased energy use. Negative impacts can be at global and local level. It can be such as climate change, local environmental degradation, resource depletion such as water scarcity. At an individual industry, building, or a service level, being efficient will help in reducing the operating costs and enhance profitability. By being efficient, companies can gain competitive advantage over less efficient companies. That means increased profits, lower product or service prices, resulting in gain in market share. At a national level, it would be the possible result would be in reducing your energy imports. Imagine countries spending billions of dollars importing fuel and are constantly under the pressure of foreign exchange. Uh, Energy efficiency would move them closer towards a more self-sustainable economy. At society level, yes, it would improve the quality of living actually. Uh, Extensive fuel that is being consumed in various uses, resulting in air pollution and other environmental impacts. In a way, energy efficiency would help facilitate mitigating these all problems. So, yes, these are some of the examples where countries and municipalities at different levels have incorporated energy efficiency measures into their mainstream policy issues and implementation areas. And they have quite phenomenally reaped the benefits in terms of energy savings, in terms of economic development. Of course, this is one of the projects which I have also worked personally in. It's called Perform Achieve Trade Mechanism in India by Bureau of Energy Efficiency and Ministry of Power. It was introduced. This is for the cycle of 2012 and 2015, where the industries were given in industries or other high energy consumption consuming entities like buildings and hotels and all. They are given targets to achieve a certain to achieve a certain level of efficiency, I would say. And within 2012 to 2015, they were able to save about 8.67 million tons of oil equivalent. Since this is a mandatory thing, whoever is selected or asked to be who is asked as a mandatory compliance that they are supposed to reduce their energy consumptions, each are given some targets. Coming to the energy efficiency opportunities. So after all the extensive work on energy efficiency that has been accomplished till date around the world, some may still have doubts if there is any further scope or no. We will understand through this graph how energy efficiency will still be relevant and why we definitely have to pursue this area. This graph here represents estimated share of different technology contributions in reduction of carbon dioxide. If we move from the year 2020 to 2050, we see two scenarios. The top curve refers to the stated policy scenario, wherein that means we continue our CO2 emissions journey as per the existing policy frameworks. The bottom curve here shows the sustainable development scenario. That means the most desirable scenario in terms of human and global safety, where nations work together to successfully limit climate change by transforming the energy market and addressing air pollution. For any given reference year, in order to move from the top curve to the bottom curve, that is to be on track with the sustainable development scenario, we can see the extent of each technology's role here. Some more numbers. For example, if you look into the year 2030, if I have to achieve a sustainable development scenario, then it is estimated that the efficiency role would be about 41.7% in abatement of carbon dioxide emissions, and then followed by renewable energy, that is about 33.3% contribution. Similarly, if you go into 2050, the projections are still promising for both energy efficiency and renewable energy. Contributions are expected to be dominating. So the figures are still promising enough that the demand for energy efficiency would definitely be there for the next 3 decades. Having seen that there will be opportunities for energy efficiency to play a vital role in sustainable development and limiting climate change, what are the other motivating aspects? Well, to start out, about 192 countries who participated in the NDCs, 53 countries, that is about 27.6% of them are do intend to engage themselves, for example, in building energy efficiency as one of the aspects in achieving their targets. This is only building energy efficiency. If you consider energy efficiency as a whole, then you will have a lot more countries which actually set targets and they aim to achieve them through these targets. With new technologies constantly moving up into the market, they also set up a new benchmarking levels. So yes, there'll always be scope for improvement with the help of energy efficiency. And at last, if businesses have to survive in the market, they have to be taking advantage of improving efficiencies and cutting down losses in various forms. Energy efficiency integration with energy access. Well, often most of us being privileged enough to avail a decent quality of life, we continue to use and at times even abuse the use of energy. When we talk about energy efficiency, the highlights are often how much energy we save, how much cost benefits a firm or an individual, or and of course, in the process, how much the economy of the country is changing. What many forget is about how our efforts in enhancing energy efficiency can literally bring light into the life of several energy starved regions. I believe some of you are already aware of this, but let me take this opportunity to briefly discuss about the energy axis and what role energy efficiency plays into it. So there are again several definitions for energy access. This is from the IEA's, what IEA defines energy access as a household having reliable and affordable access to both clean cooking facilities and to electricity. So which is enough to supply a basic bundle of energy services initially and then an increasing level of electricity over time to reach the regional average. The key points what we need to focus here is access to minimum level of electricity, access to safer and more sustainable sources of energy, access to more modern energy wherein you have which enables productive economic activity, and then of course modern energy for public services. This is a brief, I was looking into the numbers and it was found that about almost 600 million people in Africa have still do not have access to electricity. And the graph shows the projections from a 2016 scenario to 2030 scenario about how many, the number of people the millions of people who will be still having no access to electricity. So that means there is still a long way to go, and energy efficiency does have an opportunity here to play a key role. So I'll just take this example in the context of electrical energy. We will quickly see how electricity reaches your home, offices, and factories. Most of the participants, particularly from EDM, I believe, must be aware of this. This is for the benefit of those who are not aware of the details here. This and the following slide should give us a sense of how every unit of electricity that we save at the user end means a lot. So we have generation, that is thermal power plants. They are generally about 28 to 35% efficient, depending on the size, the age, the capacity utilization, and all. So and the type also. So when the electricity is generated from the power plant, it is sent to step up. The voltage is stepped up so that it complies with the requirements of the uh, EHV transmission and substation lines, the extra high voltage lines. And then from there, the electricity journey travels through high voltage transmission and substation lines, and then further transmitting and finally entering into the distribution network, where it is stepped down. The voltage is stepped down to cater to the needs of the end user requirements. So if you see the each section or each system individually has their own efficiency values. That means there are certain losses that are bound to happen during transmission and distribution networks. Please remember that the values are indicative. Depending on the type of utility or depending on the countries and the infrastructure, the values can vary. So yes, to be brief here, you have a generation system, and then where electricity is generated and pumped in at point A, and you have the entire transmission and distribution network, which usually the losses are somewhere around 17 to 50%. That means 50 to 83% efficient. And then the electricity finally, for example, here I'm taking into an industrial plant context, enters into the industrial distribution network, plants distribution network. It's again about 95% efficient. And I am using an end user, I'm calling an end user here to be a pump and a motor. So the electricity is fed into the motor, which is about 90% efficient, and then finally used for a pump with a 70% efficiency at point B, where you actually use the energy that is being supplied. So overall efficiency, if you see from the point A to point B, if you, it's called a cascading effect. If you multiply all these things cumulatively, the overall efficiency is about 50% only. That means for every 100 units that I supply into the grid, finally I will be able to get only use only 50% of that 50 units worth of energy that is being pumped. So that means if I save 1 unit here, it would be equivalent of generating 2 units here. So now I think it should be here the size of or the impact that one would be creating sitting at home or office or even at an industrial plant. If you save 1 unit, how many units you are actually saving, and what is the kind of bigger impact or the larger impact it would have? Positive impact. So yes, what are the benefits of an energy efficiency in energy access? Well, if I throughout the entire system, the T&D system, the user distribution system, as well as the user and areas, if you are efficient, you would avoid unwanted investments for new power plants because there is reduced demand, and due to reduced demand, the pressure on transmission and distribution lines are also reduced. And yes, the energy that is saved in one location can thus be utilized for other energy deprived locations. I will move on to the next topic, the energy efficiency integration with renewable energy. So we all know, but a quick introduction on renewable energy. It is also referred to as clean energy, usually natural source or process that constantly gets replenished. Yes, we tap into this natural form of energy through different means. You can use solar PV, where solar PV panels, where you tap in sun's energy to generate electricity. Then you are aware of what a solar thermal is, wind, biomass, hydro, and geothermal. So yes, there was one question which was given in the polls, that if energy efficiency and renewable energies, according to you, same or different, and around 60% above they said same. Let me make some things clear here. So the renewable energy is not exactly energy efficiency. However, they may support each other. So if you see the energy efficiency, it's basically utilizing the existing energy, irrespective of what it is, renewable or not renewable. So mostly about how much work you do in less energy with no loss in quality. Renewable energy, on the other hand, is a type of energy, is a source of energy which is inexhaustible. So if I look into the let's say an example, I am using an incandescent bulb. I will be replacing it with an LED or a CFL, efficient bulb. That is what an energy efficiency measure is about. Whereas renewable energy, it doesn't matter what you are using. It is incandescent or efficient bulb. It will be supplied for both of them. So there is a slight difference here, but we will see how it supports each other. So here, if you see, renewable energy supports energy efficiency. For example, if the water is already preheated in the boiler for the boiler here in a power plant, then you will be having less fuel requirements to heat up the water desired levels by the boiler. Similar applications can be used for hotels, kitchen, process industries. We must have all seen buildings having solar water heaters on the rooftop. Uh, this they this is a kind of a way to avoid using electricity or gas heaters. A way of improving the building's energy performance index, that is kilowatt hour per year per meter square, because you will be relying less on the external energy, that is gas or electricity. I have seen personally many hotels and large kitchens segregating cooking needs and using steam that is generated from solar thermal, thereby saving large energy costs on cooking and cooking gas and electricity. So yes, if you integrate renewable energy and energy efficiency, the way renewable energy supports is through reduction in your fossil fuel consumption. Your costs come down, and your environment is much more cleaner. Then this is another example where energy efficiency supports renewable energy. This is one of the projects which I worked earlier in one of the for a sector of college and school buildings. So this is one example here. There is a college building which used to consume about 6,590 units of annual electricity consumption. So when it was only grid, let's say it's about 100%, then we have installed a solar rooftop PV or 10 kilowatt peak capacity. So after installation, you see here that the total composition, only 79.2% of the consumed energy is from the grid. The remaining is from solar, of which 18.2% is consumed internally, and the remaining 2.6% that is excess has been pumped back into the grid. Thereby, the college or the building actually earns through earns through the by feeding into the grid the electricity through feed-in tariffs. Then further, there was an energy audit done, and then recommended energy saving measures were implemented, mostly in form of let's say the lighting, the kitchen, cooking needs, and then again the computers, which were mostly the old CRT monitors converted into new latest LED models and all. So that way they were able to save annually about 5,000 units on an annual basis. That additional again units, which is further being pumped back into the grid because that is not required due to the since the solar is already connected to the grid. So this way, the use of renewable energy minimizes your reliance on fossil fuels. You can reap more benefits, I would say, by feed-in tariffs, by incorporating energy efficiency measures. And yes, it also reduces the capacities or renewable energy investments that are required if you tend to be more efficient on the demand side. I will be coming back with other topics with more details on energy efficiency and their applications. Once again, please share your feedback and queries so that I can try tailoring my upcoming presentations to your needs. I will hand over it to Xianli, who will be taking up next session. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rahul, for the very interesting presentation. Yeah, next I will talk about energy efficiency policies and measures. First, that's the topic I will cover in this presentation. What are the policies and measures for homes and appliances, for transport, for business and industries, and for utilities, and also the cross-sectoral policies of governance and energy efficiency governance and finance. And in the end, I will also talk about the World Bank RISE framework, where you can compare the different countries' energy efficiency policy and the measures to see how they are doing in different countries. First, maybe you already know this McKinsey curve. We talk about why countries need to pay attention to energy efficiency. If you compare the different options for climate change mitigation, from energy efficiency to renewable energy and to this carbon capture and storage, getting the CO2 out of the atmosphere, you can see energy efficiency is often negative cost. That means at global level, this cost, what you invest or spend on energy efficiency is more than covered by the energy saving you can achieve through those interventions, especially some very cheap and very easily to be doable with existing technologies like lighting, appliances, roof insulation, a lot of things you can do without even in a profitable way for households, for businesses. That's why we need to think about energy efficiency, and countries and governments need to introduce policies and measures to harvest these kind of social and economic and environmental benefits offered by energy efficiency. What are the policies or measures options for energy efficiency policies? You can see for households, there are insulation, retrofitting. You can give building codes, minimum energy efficiency performance, minimum energy performance standards that called MAPS is a very important policy for the energy efficiency. And also energy efficiency certification audit for buildings and appliances, similarly standards and labeling, and also endorsement and also lighting. For transport, there's especially for the vehicle fuel efficiency standards, and also how to encourage the public transport, encourage people to use like bicycles or eco driving to have more environmental friendly way of driving their cars. And for businesses, that's the energy management system, the ISO 50001 system. And for commercial buildings, similarly, there's building codes and also electricity or energy tariff system, how you do the energy pricing to encourage them to do energy efficiency. For SMEs, that's also the energy audit voluntary schemes, and also through the equipment market boosting. That's also the for utilities. First is also the energy pricing, how you make your energy price in a way that can encourage energy efficiency or energy saving, and also ESCOs. Utility play a special role in not only themselves take energy efficiency actions, but also encourage others, enabling others to do energy efficiency, the users. And also finally, the cross-sector also governance. What kind of government institutional setup policies to make sure the energy efficiency policies are implemented across different sectors in different levels of government at a local level, at a enterprise or household level, and also this issue of finance that is also cover all energy efficiency actions, how to make the finance available, the funding available so that enterprise, households, public sectors take energy efficiency, investment, and purchase and in their operations. First, for household, especially the homes, the buildings, residential buildings and appliances, for homes, there's a lot of opportunity for insulation. There are many technologies today available through better, more effective windows, doors, insulation to make the homes more energy efficient so that you do not need so much energy for heating and cooling. And some of like the shading, building trees, how you do the roof, and also the direction of the houses, that in the planning stage you can do a lot. And also for this minimum energy performance standards in many countries, there are also energy efficiency standards maps for especially for new buildings or building codes, and also certification. Like in Denmark, if you sell your home, you need to do an energy audit to show what's the energy efficiency level of your house before you can put it on the market, and also for household appliances standards and labeling to show what's the energy efficiency standards of the refrigerators, washing machines, all the different house appliances. Consumers, buyers can buy more energy efficient standards, like endorsement, the Energy Star system that endorse what is the most efficient appliances on the market, and make sure that the recommendation, if you buy those kind of appliances with the Energy Star label, you make sure to have the most energy efficient ones, and also you save money from that. And also the lighting, that's also an important topic because around 15% of the global electricity is using for lighting. And if we use the existing technologies, that can be reduced to 10%. That's a large 2/3. We can reduce that. For buildings, this is the policies for building codes, energy efficiency reduction targets. In many developed countries, there's a requirement for net zero energy efficient buildings are moving in that direction, tighten the energy efficiency standards or building codes regularly so that new buildings are more and more efficient. And also for all energy efficiency policies, we do not only the national government, it's also the local government need to be involved in the implementation, because in many countries, actual local governments also make their own policies. They have their own, a lot of government buildings, public institutions, schools, hospitals, libraries, all those buildings they can do in their daily energy efficiency, in their own activity, also influencing the public sector, the government, the households to be more energy efficient. For appliances, as I mentioned before, similarly, the most effective or widely applied is this MAPS, minimum energy efficient performance standards. Also, there are many voluntary energy efficient standards. It's not only you do the minimum, also you mark not only on our market is allow for level C, but also you make sure like some appliances A or B, A plus. So these are also available to encourage the market moving to more efficient ones. So also standards and labeling, you need to testing to verification to make sure that those marked as they claim they are efficient, they really do it in practice. So energy efficiency standards and labeling, they are very important in that way, like they help the market recognize energy performance. They give consumers a tool to select products, to identify which products are more energy efficient and with lower running costs, energy bills, so they select those ones. And also give manufacturers incentive or tool to market their products, incentive to produce more efficient products. And that leads to huge net economic gains. You do it properly, and also a lot of energy and emission reductions, energy saving and emission reductions. So they really have the market. They use the market force to get it, the energy efficiency. Without them, the consumers and buyers maybe find it difficult to really make the decision to which product to buy. Maybe without labeling, they may simply go to the cheapest product on the market. So this standard labeling make sure that consumers not only consider the purchase price, but also consider the using cost into account. Also, government in this way use standards and labeling can ensure only the products meeting certain energy efficiency standards can be sold in market in the countries, and also they also block those inefficient products from import, from marketing on the sales on the market. Different countries have different energy label, efficiency labels or performance labels. You can see here some examples. Kenya, EU, Japanese labels. Generally, they will show what's the overall levels of energy efficiency standard, different levels, and where are these equipment stands. In Europe, they also include how much energy use estimate on the standard. They test it and estimate how much energy use with this equipment. Of course, the actual situation, the energy use will vary from maybe vary from this number because different homes, different families have different using habits. Maybe they use more or use less. So that's kind of, but all the equipment have to be tested in standard situations. Also, this Energy Star label. Energy Star label is an endorsement label. In US, they also have these different levels, but Energy Star only for the most efficient equipment. The placement of labels generally have to be attached to the product and make it difficult to get to people to take it off. So there is also such labels normally also have to be updated regularly. Generally, countries update their energy efficiency standards every few years to make sure the new products take advantage of the technology progress so that the more efficient products are available on the market so they can also be endorsed and so that people move as users, the market move to more efficient ones. For transport is also an important sector in energy use. As I mentioned before, it's most important is the vehicle fuel economy standards. So like only the cars, the trucks meeting certain energy efficiency standards can enter the market. Also labeling and also some in cities, there can be parking fees. Some parts are restricting the entry of cars and the bicycle lanes to make sure people use more low or efficient using public transport or bags or walk, so this reduce energy use. The private sector level, there's also some technology marketing of energy efficiency vehicles. So the transport, you can see globally, generally consume around 27% of the energy. The majority of this energy by transport sector is by road transport. That's why vehicle efficiency means a lot, also affect the country's long-term energy efficiency of fuel use. For also other standards like emission standards for cars, so that the air quality in cities, especially for the pedestrian air quality in cities. Also the eco-driving, how people drive their cars, whether they overspeed or how they use it is also important. Car sharing, how many people sitting in the car, one person or several persons, that's also the energy efficiency of fuel use. For transport, it's mainly this approach, reduce the need for travel. How you do the city planning so that people can get schools, hospital services, and shopping shops in their nearby, so they do not need to long distance travel, reduce the need for travel. Also shift, make sure people use more public transport, easy to transit, or use bicycles. Also improve the vehicle fuel efficiency. So also the how to make sure the cities are more livable, because otherwise the traffic jam, if everyone drives the car, the parking space requirement for cities and also the traffic jam make cities very difficult to the air quality, the congestion, the noise. So how to manage this? To use this transport sector to manage improve the overall fuel efficiency and reduce the environmental impacts or economic impacts of car use, transport. For business sector, especially for business sector, energy efficiency means if you are energy efficient, it means more productivity, more competitiveness use. For some sectors, especially energy intensive sectors, energy cost is the largest share of their operating costs. So saving energy efficient means a lot. Inside enterprises doing energy management regularly check how their energy is used, where is it used, and how it's used. The important way is the ISO energy management system. Also, in many countries, you do energy audit, ask enterprise to do energy audit and do energy management to identify the opportunities to implement those opportunities. Also, a lot for the equipment, energy in industries, they have motors, fans, and various equipments. Often, like this investment in such equipment is highly effective or cost effective. You can save a lot of money. Also, these voluntary agreements. Some often countries, when they do it, they focus on large energy users, industries. So like encourage them to enter into voluntary agreements with the government to commit to improve their energy efficiency by a certain level. Also innovation, because the energy cost or the global increasing awareness about energy efficiency. So making energy efficiency or producing energy efficiency products can open up market when you help enterprise win market share. And you know, a lot of Japanese cars, they are famous for their energy efficiency, or some enterprises do the LED lighting. That's really open up more market opportunities. Also, this market mechanism for the white certificate. Rahul may know a lot more about this impact system. Enterprise are required to do a certain level of energy efficiency. They do it, and if they achieve it, they can sell them what they overachieve to others who are also required to participate in such a system, but do not achieve by themselves. So this is also a trading system. This Italy have a very successful way with certificates. They are, you can see, very cheaply for energy efficiency. So only half a euro cent per kilowatt hour for energy avoided. That's a very effective measure for this kind of different measures, wet certificate. For utilities, utilities play a very special role because they are supplying electricity, gas, water, heat, and communications services. So they can not only they are themselves are energy users, they can improve their own energy efficiency. They can also do a lot of enabling others, helping others, motivating others to do it, the consumers to do it. First, for utilities, one is energy efficiency, energy pricing. How is the price structure? Is time-based or is progressive energy pricing? So, like if energy reach the consumers beyond the household, beyond a certain level, they have to pay more expensive. So this can be really reach all actors of the society when you have such prices. Also, it affects how consumers, the whole society's motivation for taking energy efficiency actions. Also, mandate to use this capacity, financial capacity. We can also do the demand side management activities. Also, voluntary actions like the reducing the transmission and distribution losses. They can also motivate demand side capacity when it's difficult to find this shortage of energy. So this is also an important way. Also, time-based electricity tariffs that can reduce the peak load so that the generation capacity utilization rate can be higher. So that's also a way to save cost. Also, utilities, because they have these bills, so they can do the on-bill charging. So if, for example, in Ghana, they have this air conditioner, no refrigerators. The government subsidizes so the utilities can provide the more efficient refrigerators, so they can keep charging this same rate of electric for some time. So they can cover the cost, including the energy bill, freezing the energy bill for a certain time. Upon end of this period, the consumers get more efficient equipment, and the utilities they find their energy demand, electricity demand, not increase so fast. So that's also a win-win solution. Also, in many countries, lighting is also a starting for this kind of pay as you go, pay as you save mode pattern to do it. Also for ESCO model, as utilities work as ESCOs, they go out to purchase the equipment, getting loans, so that they help municipal government to do the efficient lighting, change the street lighting, so that in that way that they get the energy saving, electricity saving, get the repayment, and this way also manage the energy electricity demand. One way is for energy efficiency is the governance, how to make sure the overall policy framework is supportive for energy efficiency, is clear roles and responsibilities for energy efficiency policy making. So all governments for energy efficiency you not only need the energy government ministry, but also need many other ministries, Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Buildings, many other government agencies supportive role in the process, clear roles and responsibility, how to coordinate, and also national strategies, plans, and targets, so that the policies is consistent over time, so it's integrated in different government policies, and also give consumers, enterprises a clear long-term signal so that they can make a long-term investment based on the government policy. Also, operational agencies. For energy efficiency, there's a lot of things to do. Standards, different supportive schemes. So, and how the guidance, so a lot of data collection. So how to make sure these policies work together. So this operational, as the local level, you may need a different, each different level of government. We have some agency overlook the in charge of energy efficiency actors doing the coordination. So this coordination, especially for energy efficiency, is very important to make sure all different government agencies, businesses, and public operate or work to the same direction. Also, public sector government are also important energy users and buyers of the energy using equipment. So integrating energy efficiency criteria in public procurement is an important measure to motivate enterprises to supply or sell the energy efficient products and show the leadership. So others can also do like renovating public buildings, make sure they are energy efficient. That can save government money spending on energy and also showcase the example, help create the capacity and create the market. Finally, data and statistics. These are the basics for policy making, for enterprises decision making. So this kind of reliable data and the timely end-use data for energy efficiency is very important. In many countries, there's a lack of data. That's also make it difficult to evaluate where is the energy efficiency opportunities, what's the progress, how to take such opportunity, achieve such opportunity. So this cost of data is also a very important factor. And also how do you do the data collection to make sure that the data from different sectors can add up, can verify each other, because energy efficiency is really from different sectors. For buildings, you need how many people are in the offices, what's the building floor area, plus their energy use. You need to collect this data, make sure they are comparable, they can add up from different sources. So how to make sure you have such data collection or processing and publishing system in place to make sure the data are reliable, complete, and consistent to support the decision making by business and government. And another important policy area is finance. Finance is important for all different energy efficiency actions because energy efficiency is, in many cases, is equity funded. It's generally more difficult to get in loans or external funding for these energy efficiency actions. Increasingly, many local banks, the international financial organizations, or central banks give some funding and through local banks to offer such loans for energy efficiency actions, projects to business, to households, and also this bond issue in many countries. That's also a new trend. They issue green bonds to fund energy efficiency and the government policies, because energy efficiency is a large area for private investment. Government need to make sure how these kind of actions can be more easily accepted by banks to give the loans and leverage the private financing. Also, government also sometimes this government provide some funding so that the private sector can provide the loans so that it's a revolving fund. So it's continue when they get back the repayment of the loans, it's continue using new loans. So this snowballing effect to get more and more funding for the market for energy efficiency. And also dedicated credit lines to train the banks. So like banks have the technical capacity to evaluate such loan applications, projects, and also the public-private finance, including ESCOs, how to make sure this through public and private finance for public buildings, public institutions to do energy efficiency actions, also for ESCOs to help other private sector to do energy efficiency. Also guarantees. Often the energy efficiency projects are perceived to be risky, high risk. So this kind of guarantees make sure banks are ready to lend money to energy efficient projects. Such guarantees to make sure there's a backup. If there's a loans that are not pay back, the banks can have a way to get their funding back. Another way also fiscal policies is also tax incentives. Many countries give some like tax exemption for energy efficient projects or the lower tax rate. So there's kind of rebates and the tax incentives are important. Also, government grants. In many cases, government offers some grants or rewards, some kind of system subsidies for energy efficiency actions. For appliances, household buy, government gives some grants, so subsidies, so it's cheaper, or give some enterprises some grants for their energy efficiency products. So they can also market their energy efficiency products more easily. Of course, there's also the international climate finance and the carbon finance. So the carbon market now is still going on, but it's not so, we are not sure how it will develop in the future. The global Green Climate Fund, they also have some funding allocated for energy efficiency projects, and also some other international climate funds for mitigation projects, and energy efficiency is an important mitigation area. So that's also available. Of course, there's no one-size-fits-all for energy efficiency policies. Generally, every country has their own special situations. So when making the policies, you have to consider what are the country's situation, where are the opportunities, the existing laws, regulations, and also the capacity, how to make sure these can be the policies are suited for the national process. All this policy also this kind of through the policy making circle. First, you identify a problem, then do the analysis and design the policy, do the implementation. After certain periods, do the review. Is the policy working well, or is it needs further adjustment or improvement? So this kind of policy making circle, and it's also important to engage the stakeholders to make sure the local governments, the businesses, the policy are supportive for the policy implementation. Finally, I will talk about this World Bank RISE framework. RISE is the abbreviation of Regulatory Indicators for Sustainable Energy. This system is really a first of its kind effort to make it possible to compare the energy policies of different countries. It's a tool developed by the World Bank for C4 so that you can evaluate different countries' energy policy status and identify opportunity, how to improve, which area to work on to further improve the policy. It's scored between 0 and 100, and all the scores have equal weight. And they grouped into 3 categories based on traffic light. So countries, there are some countries are in the red area. That means they are very low scores, 0 to 33. Some are yellow in the middle, and some are green. So that's also quite a straightforward way to see, okay, which countries and regions they need more support on these policies. So they have these 3 areas. This RISE framework can include access to modern energy. It's mainly access to electricity, energy efficiency, and renewable energy. For the energy efficiency pillar, we have 13 indicators and 31 sub-indicators. The 13 indicators how they evaluate the energy efficiency policy in different countries or compare it is include, do you have some national energy efficiency planning? Does the country have some energy efficiency agencies? And how provide consumers for their electricity use? And also the incentives for the electricity rate structures and incentive and mandates for industries, commercial users, public sector utilities, and whether they have some financing mechanism for energy efficiency, and also the minimum energy efficiency performance standards, and the labeling system, and building codes, as well as transport sector energy efficiency and carbon pricing and monitoring. These are the 13 indicators in the RISE framework for energy efficiency sector policy evaluation assessment. Finally, you can see these are the scores for RISE for a few countries. You can see in Mozambique, you have for electricity access 24, for energy efficiency 6, and the total is the average of the 3 is 18. We also have here I also gave the number of Zambia and Malawi. One thing in common you can see from this table is in Mozambique and many other African countries, energy efficiency policy making is a little lagging behind electricity access and renewable energy. Often countries pay more attention to other international community, pay more attention to electricity access, to renewable energy. But energy efficiency policy, much more is needed to be done, and a lot more can be done in this area. So that's why the countries, we move forward, really need to more support from the international community and also the countries themselves to pay more attention to this area of energy efficiency, or to make sure the government, the society, the business do more on energy efficiency because we know it's cheap. It also can contribute to the achievement of the other two areas, electricity access. When your energy use is efficient, then you really do not need so much electricity to give more access to more people. And also, when your energy use is efficient, it's easier to increase the share of renewable energy. Thanks. That's all for my presentation. Thank you a lot for your attention. And if you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to contact me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Xianli and Rahul, for the interesting and useful presentations. Now I would like to introduce the Q&A session, and we have received many interesting questions. The first three questions are addressed for Rahul. So Rahul, energy efficiency reduction share is always the greatest compared with others. Why there is still resistance in investing in energy efficiency initiatives?
Thank you, Begonia. Yes, it's quite a lengthy explanation, I would say, because I'll try to be giving more and more examples. Well, not everyone is comfortable to easily accept something new. New in the sense, though energy efficiency has been there for quite some time, for an individual, it is new for those who are not aware of it. So this is no one's fault. It is generally a human tendency, which is why awareness is important. Information dissemination in one of the initial steps that is needed. Uh, See, from years of experience from my energy auditing and energy efficiency studies, even today I find myself explaining to clients and beneficiaries why energy efficiency is beneficial. Uh, at times, upfront investments can be an issue there. Again, brings down to the need of awareness, not just on energy efficiency technologies, but also different financing business models to make the procurement feasible. I think Xianli also mentioned some of the possible options one can look into to enhance energy efficiency adoption. I will be talking about some issues on the next session also. But yes, there are national programs which generally often start out to be with the good intentions, but somewhere down the line they get mismanaged. So when a potential beneficiary who trusts you and agrees to participate in some development programs and is not satisfied due to some mismanagement in the end, they would obviously they're more likely to resist for any other future energy efficiency opportunities due to this bad experience. And of course, there are some resistance, let's say something like ego problems. I would say it is quite understandable again for an individual, because imagine a personal or in an industrial plant, or let's say a facility manager and an operator who is working in a building or a plant for many years in the same setup. He or she would be very much experienced, much experienced about his or her own setup in the industry or the building or the municipality. Then you have an external consultant or an energy expert who comes in and say, hey, I can suggest you how to become more efficient, how to operate it more efficiently. There are two ways to look into it. The manager or the personnel would be, or the administration would be, welcoming them and supporting the requirements, so that they will be able to identify any energy efficiency measures, implement the measures. Or usually, it can also be they can get offended because obviously who is the person who is coming from outside and telling me what to do and how I can benefit, or how can I operate it much efficiently. These are some issues which often come into the day-to-day field works on energy efficiency studies when you actually have to incorporate, implement them. Then of course there are again some other let's say political motivations or priorities, depending on what the economy needs first. For the case of critical areas, something like refineries or cement plants, which usually operate on 24 cross 7 almost throughout the day or throughout the year, they simply can't stop the processes to incorporate some efficient technologies, because ultimately the business also matters. The loss that they might have to incur for stopping the plant, every minute, every hour will be the way too much high for them, uh, way too much more than what they would have saved from the energy efficiency measures in that given time. But nevertheless, the resistances are extremely rare. It all depends on how we convey the importance through case studies, or through live demonstration. At least from about, let's say, around hundreds of studies which I was involved in, hardly 1 to 2% of them were extremely resistant, but others we could get through. There are far more cases where people have accepted energy efficiency activities and are still practicing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rahul, for the comprehensive response. Another question we have received: what is the most effective way to enhance people awareness toward energy consumption?
It totally depends on how creative one can be, actually. Uh, I would say primarily education and training programs like this now. Uh, it may not make the participants or the students experts immediately after the course or the session, but it does sow the required seeds, that can be further nurtured. That idea can be nurtured and taken it forward. Only limited, again, it all limits to the individual's imagination. But yes, the message is being conveyed, and it is upon the individual on how they want to take it forward. Then again, yes, as I've said, the more creative you are, the better. And governments also have a important role here, coming up with roadmaps, policies, and environment enabling environment, wherein the environment is supporting enough to people to be aware of energy efficiency programs. I think you have these labeling coming up into energy efficient labeling practices now, mostly predominant now, wherein you go and pick up a product, you will obviously see some catchy stars and some colorful label. That is where you attract people's attention. They get more and more awareness. The more they see that kind of promotions happening, the more they will also be in line with it. And of course, schools are the key aspects, I would say. Right from the this present generation, if you start teaching them about what energy efficiency is, what sustainable energy is, in the long run, the things would be moving on a positive path. uh, I can give you a brief example about India's energy efficiency journey as of now. It started off with Energy Efficiency Act, where the government has made some certain formulations of policies, define who is supposed to be involved in it, who are the different stakeholders. Once that is done, it is not an easy process. It is a long process, but yes, it takes some time. But eventually, the way we see it today, it is developed. It is quite established in the energy efficiency markets. There are market-based mechanisms happening. The energy certificates, if you look into the different European countries, also quite established. And it's not that they have done it overnight. It's all about how the first step that you take and how you pursue that step. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rahul. Another question we have received for you: how policies affect long-term commitments in relation with energy efficiency?
This is an interesting question. Let me think about it. So it is about, so basically, it is only when you see a destination, a goal, one would actually think of moving in a particular direction, or else everyone is usually moving aimlessly. So policies help in setting up addressing this factor here. It sets up the targets, it sets up a roadmap. As I've said again, it creates an enabling environment. So that way you come on track. The thing is, when how you actually achieve it, then the thing is, the policies have to be mostly time bound, and making actions mandatory, so that you achieve your results within a stipulated time frame and you do not get lost in between or during the journey. So that is how you tend to make commitments. Often it depends on the population, depends on the perception of the individuals or the people or the countries and the or the municipalities or any user end, I would say. Often what I have seen is what worked out to be best to be having a long-term commitment is make mandatory policies wherein if people comply of the or the industries or the entities comply to it, then yes, they will be successful. They will be sticking to the commitments. If they are not, then they will be penalized in some form of the other. That is one thing. And then the other one, as I was mentioning about enabling environment, you come up with market-based mechanisms like you save energy, you can convert into certificates, you can use that certificates for trading. So it's more of double benefits. You save your energy, you save your energy cost, and with the certificates that you have earned, you will be still engaging yourself in with the market mechanisms. So yes, this is how you can try to see how policies can affect the long-term commitments.
Thank you so much, Rahul. And a last common question we just received from a member of the audience is if you could share your thoughts, Rahul, on the tax incentive offered by the government of India for promoting energy efficiency measures implementation, in case you are familiar with this.
I will have to look into it, especially regarding the tax component. But regarding the mechanism component, I can still explain you if you are interested. But tax part, I am not much into it.
Okay.
I can get back to you on the details for that. If you can drop me a mail or comment with the organizer. Yeah.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much, Rahul, for the very detailed response to the questions. Now, I would like to give the floor to Xianli. We also have received many interesting questions for her. And the first question is a little bit broad, but it's as follows. How the poor countries can try to solve the problems on energy efficiency in their systems?
I think, as I said, energy efficiency is really about saving money. It's the cheapest solution. So a lot of all countries, rich or poor, can do a lot. In many African countries, many energy efficiency actions do not need to be necessary to be expensive. For many African countries, the cooking stove is really a big issue because of the forest large use of firewood. That kind of energy efficiency, how you motivate people simply change their energy efficiency to more efficient cook stoves, they can quickly get the payback and avoid the cutting the trees and protect the local environment. So a lot of these kind of things is awareness, how to do it. It's not, I think that's a what is the perception, energy efficient have to be expensive, have to be fancy products. Many of the products that's already commonly available on the market. Some like the African countries are moving to from incandescent maps, lamps to CFL. Now they also have an LED, actually much more cheaper. So these products, energy efficient products, also the cost they keep declining. So a lot of these kind of policies, if you do, like the government can do it themselves, they can also seek this support, or like there's import policies, make sure only the efficient products can enter their country when they do the import policies, tariffs. Use tariffs, only efficient appliances, equipment, vehicles can enter their country. In that way, they can really do a lot for energy efficiency through this international assistance. Like recently, we are helping Kenya with preparing their first energy efficient strategies. They have different actions, priority identified. That also make it possible for donors to step in, helping implement those opportunities, getting international support, knowledge sharing, so that moving this forward.
Thank you so much, Xianli. Another question we have received. It looks like minimum energy performance standards (MEPS) are crucial as operation policy. Can international MEPS, example from the European Union, be adopted in a specific country, let's say in Africa?
Yes, actually, that's a lot for energy efficient standards. That's a lot of information. Like you have to be international coordinated because often these equipment are made by some international producers. So if you are aligned, it's much easier to do the policies like EU. They are quite advanced in this area for energy efficient standards and labeling. And I would also say for that you can follow the EU example, but still you may need to some adaptation, like the kind of products that's needed, or in the African context, maybe a little different from those products in Europe because of climate and other factors. So I think that the simple answer is yes, you can adapt the international standards. Then you also need to you can follow the international EU example, but you also need to see the portfolio of different products available on the market and how to tighten this regularly. Because also, as Rahul mentioned, the Europe, they have a long wait, several decades of development in this area. In the beginning, countries can start from a few key products for the local market, then gradually expanding it. Also need to make sure there's testing equipment, labs, and you have to go out to check those products, or when you import the products, make sure they are the energy efficient ones. So this kind of standards internationally, they are like a CLASP and others, they are supporting, and the EU, they are also supporting these standards and the labeling systems for different countries. I'm sure if you are interested, definitely you can get some international support on this work in this area of standards labeling.
Thank you so much, Xianli. Another very interesting question we have received: how might different policy options affect the collection of sales tax and public budgets?
That's also a very interesting question. Some policies, they do not have so much impact on the public government budget. For example, if you say standards labeling, it's more like that government may need some inspection, testing, laboratories, but mainly the cost is more through the market. So we do not really offer so much affect the government budget. But some policies, like if you offer some tax rebates, tax exemption for certain energy efficient products, or you give some subsidies, that may affect the government budget. But often, like the energy prices in many countries, people say, "Oh, we cannot make the energy more expensive. We have to subsidize the energy." But that's actually a more effective way to do it. Of course, when you reduce subsidies or make energy more expensive, that's not popular with the public. But in a way, you can do this like instead of subsidizing the energy for everyone, you can subsidize the energy for the poor people if that's the problem. If energy more expensive affects some poor people, so make the energy efficiency. Try to make the when you design the policy, you have to consider okay, what's the effect of the government budget, how it affects the fiscal income, tax income, and the government spending. And when you design a subsidy, that's also keep in mind in the beginning how to phase in this government subsidy and how to phase out. Otherwise, by a certain time, you in the future you may see the subsidy is simply too much for the government budget. So when you consider these different policy options, try to keep those in mind and make the energy efficiency policies targeted. What's the real question of that? To make an energy price reflect the cost. If its energy is subsidized or give electric energy for free to people, no one will save energy. Only if that's why energy price also very important signal. And you make the subsidy how do you give the subsidies? So for example, do you just give the grants for some projects when they say they will do something, or you base the result? When you achieve the energy saving, I give you some rewards or rewards-based subsidy. So this kind of designing policy have to take that into account. But generally, many energy efficiency government subsidies, it helps the society to save. Like for example, the example, very famous example of Ghana, they subsidize refrigerators. They found that actually it's saved the government a lot. Save the government's investment in power plants, in the grid. So when you do this kind of energy efficiency, maybe it's not also when you consider the scope of the evaluation, it's only consider the subsidy for the refrigerator, or you also consider your investment in power generation. So that's also the evaluation when you consider what's the spending, what's the effect on the government budget. Definitely, energy efficient in many cases is is cost effective. Also, the Italian example shows a small share of government, you can get many times of the government investment back and get more the society, the business more competitive. They save money, household they save money, and the government they save money from the investment in energy infrastructure.
Thank you so much, Xianli. And the last question for you we have received. We understand that there are more benefits to energy efficiency beyond just the energy savings. How do we determine the benefits of policies and programs?
Yes, energy efficiency they have many other benefits. Generally, energy we know a few like you save the improve the local environment, reduce air pollution. For example, with efficient cooker stoves or efficient cars, and also create local jobs. If you have the buildings more energy efficient instead of do the retrofitting, that's also create jobs. So how to do this assessment? Generally, international, you have to say, okay, what is the otherwise they will do? You have to have a baseline when you evaluate the energy efficiency, just as when you calculate how much energy saving. You have to know what's my current level of the energy use. Then, if I do something, what's the energy difference? So you calculate the difference. That's your energy savings. Similarly, if you want to calculate how much greenhouse emission reduction from my action, so you need to say, okay, how much energy savings and what's the emission factors for each kilowatt hour of electricity saved, how much greenhouse gas emissions I avoided emit. Or you have the jobs, like if I build a less efficient house building or use cars, what's the energy less efficient ones, what's the jobs number of jobs, if I do the more efficient ones, what kind of jobs. So you have to compare the two kind of situations. That's how you calculate. Similarly for in pollutions, you have to calculate, okay, what's the other scenario, what's the current baseline, what it is, calculate some data. That's also important, why it's important to have some data collection. So you can compare with what's commonly do by the other projects or other products. Then you can have the baseline as the whole society average, or you can have the baseline as a project itself if you are retrofitting projects. So that's the way how you determine the benefits of policies and programs.
Thank you so much, Xianli, for the detailed responses to the questions. Well, ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the end of this training session. I would like to say thank you to the panelists for the informative and interesting presentations and to the audience for their active participation. We hope that the presentations will be beneficial for all stakeholders involved in energy efficiency, and thank you for your attention and wish you a good day or night from Copenhagen.